if you are going to make it a business, is to treat it like a business from the get-go. It is very appealing to have brands reach out to you and offer to send you the world. That is great. But what people need to understand is that you are giving them free marketing.
Welcome back to the RV Queens podcast, where we delve into the lives of women making money and living life on the road. I'm your host, Kate White, and today we're coming to you live from Florida with a picnic table session. The energy is especially real today because I got to sit down with my guest, Stephanee Dellacruz, in person at the campground. Stephanee is a full-time RVer, content creator, and the woman behind A Perfectly Good Enough Life. She and her family have launched into RV life not once, but twice. Their journey wasn't just about hitting the road, though. It was about navigating a major life transition, including her husband's forced retirement from the military, an unexpected career pivot, and the big decision, as we've all made, to trade a traditional life for one full of adventure and flexibility. Stephanee's story is a powerful reminder that even when life throws a curveball, we always have a choice to stay stuck in victimhood or keep moving and create a life we love. In this episode, she shares how they built a sustainable income while traveling, how she grew a personal brand and monetized social media with a small following, and why she's on a mission to help other women ditch perfection and embrace good enough. If you're ready to ditch your excuses and make money on the road with a small following, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, quick reminder. If you're already living the RV life, but you're craving a deeper connection with women making money on the road, come join us in the RV Queen Circles. It's our online membership community where we have weekly chats, business resources, and a supportive network of women balancing travel, family, and entrepreneurship. Use code PODCAST for 20% off your membership for life at rvqueenspodcast.com/community. Now, let's get into the episode with Stephanee Dellacruz. Grab your coffee and let's roll. Stephanee Dellacruz, welcome to the RV Queens podcast. For those of you watching on YouTube or Spotify, welcome to my purple clam. Last year, I recorded some of these in-person interviews while we were in Florida for the winter, and I called them picnic table sessions. Oh. That's kind of what we're doing here, but technically we're at a card table. It doesn't matter. The point is, we're live in person, the energy is real, and I'm loving it. So I usually ask, where in the world are you today? Obviously, you're here with me in Florida, two campers down.
Yes.
Do you guys usually winter in Florida?
This is our first winter in Florida.
Oh, How are you liking it?
Love it.
Good.
Totally.
Okay. Better than, where were you before?
We did Southern California the last 2 years.
Okay. Better than Southern California?
There's pros and cons to both, but overall, we have had a better winter, I think. Yeah.
I especially like that because we have some friends that are trying to talk us into going to California next winter, and we really don't want to. So I'm just going to use that as ammunition.
It is different for winter. To be fair, I'm from California, and so is my husband. So
dang it.
We're in a totally different place now.
Okay.
But it is very different. Honestly, it's very different. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're both good.
I might circle back to that question later on. Yeah. But to start, let's rewind back to pre-RV life. You guys actually did a full-time RV launch twice now. So talk us through what that looked like in 2021 when you first launched, and then when you relaunched again in 2022.
When we were crazy enough to do it twice.
Yes.
Okay, so 2021, my husband actually was medically retired from the Army. So he had planned to do full career, 20 plus years, and his body had other plans. So 2020, if you remember what happened in 2020, that was a fun year. So we went through the medical board process. This is so crazy. All these weird things happened. We had a baby during that year, but also my husband got very sick with his autoimmune condition, and he had to go on some medication that basically made it that he couldn't be in the Army anymore. So they started the process. It was a year-long process to get out of the Army. And during that year-long process, they kept him at home because he was immunocompromised. They didn't want him to get sick.
Wow.
So he was at home with full pay for a year, and we got really used to having him around.
Yes.
So when his date to get out finally came up, we didn't really want that to stop. I didn't want him to go back to work. So I was like, hey, we don't have anywhere to be. We don't have any plans. You don't have a job. So why don't we try this weird thing I've heard of called RV life? People do this. We're going to do this. This sounds like a great plan. But we had a truck. It wasn't a very large truck. He went with the plan. We went and got an RV, a brand new RV. It was a travel trailer, and the biggest we could pull at the time. And we put a bunch of our stuff into storage. The Army stores our stuff, so we didn't have to get rid of everything. We were very lucky. And we set off on the road with our 5-month-old, our 3-year-old, and our, 7-year-old, I think, at the time. So we did that, and that was a lot of fun. Too much fun. And we made a lot of mistakes. And after about 4 months in, I was like, this was a horrible idea. Fun, but we're not doing this full time.
Yeah,
like, this is just a fun vacation, extended vacation. Let's try something different. So we settled down in Reno, Nevada, which is where I have family, and we rented a house. My husband went and got a job, and we settled into life there. And very quickly, did not love it. I hated him being back at work. The kids hated it. We weren't as big a fan of the area as we had thought. And honestly, I don't like to give up on things. So I had felt like we had given up on the life before we really tried it.
Yeah.
And I had major FOMO because I was still following all of the people and the friends that we had made.
Yeah.
And I had major FOMO. So about 6 months in, I said to my husband, hey, you don't like your job. I don't like you working, and we don't really care for it here. So why don't we do RV life again? We had sold the trailer. We had sold the truck. And he said no. And then a month later I said, hey, why don't we RV again? And he said, okay. And we started the journey all over again. This time we sold almost everything, and we got a 5th wheel, and we got a bigger truck, and we made plans to have a plan. And now we're 2.5 years in.
Did your husband, was he able to find work on the road?
No. So he actually started going to school while he was still in the Army, right before he was getting out. And then he continued with that. So he was changing his career entirely. He wanted to be a health coach to help other people like him. He changed his eating habits and his lifestyle habits a crazy amount to try to heal his disease. And he wanted to help other people do the same. So he has been in school since 2020. He just graduated with his bachelor's in December. So he was going to school during that time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. You have said that your husband's forced military retirement completely changed your lives.
Mm-hmm.
Am I assuming correctly it's because you were, forced to be together 24/7 for a year? Is that what the change was?
No, actually.
Okay.
We actually really loved that part. What had to change is, he was career military. That was his plan. We had dug in. Whether we loved it or not, there's good and bad parts of the lifestyle. We were in it for the long haul. I had expected to stay home and take care of our babies, and he would go, do his Army thing until past 20 years even, because he was young enough to go past 20 years. And then we'd retire, and we'd have a great retirement, and he'd be set for life for that.
Gotcha.
So what happened is he had to give up on his dream because he'd wanted to be in the Army since he was 18. So he had to give up on his dream, and we had to make a lot of life decisions very quickly. Our finances changed drastically during that time period. Honestly, at the time, it was also because his illness got so bad that it was a really scary time, and I was frantic, wondering how I was going to take care of the family. We didn't know if he was going to have disability or not coming from the Army at the time, because that's not all decided until the end. So there was a chance we would be left with no income at all. which ended up not being the case, thankfully, but that could have been the case. And I would have had to find something to take care of the family. And I hadn't had a job in a long time.
Yeah. I think your story is especially inspiring because you took this giant life shift, and instead of just defaulting to victim mindset and like, we all get into these modes, right? The world is against us. Why are all these bad things happening to me? Like, there's nothing else I want to do with my life. Yada, 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 yada. The dark things. You basically chose to reframe your whole life and choose adventure and choose family time, and you chose to create a new life that you wanted to live. And first of all, kudos to you, because I'm sure that took a lot of digging deep and hard conversations and all that kind of stuff. So now you use your voice and your online platform to like inspire other people to create a life that they love as well. Am I reading you correctly when I say all those things?
Yes, you make it sound much more dreamlike than it probably is. You make it into a nice, pretty bow. But yeah, I mean, that's the plan. That's the aim. I won't lie and say that it was always that way, or even that it's always that way now. When we first got the news, it was really hard. And it was a really hard time for him. Like I said, he was sick, and he was also reeling with all of these fears of what was going to happen and what our future looked like and how are we going to afford it and was he even going to be around. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it was a really scary time. When all that happened, we were going through IVF for our third baby, and then going through pregnancy and having a baby during all of that shift. So
wow.
It was a lot. We took on a lot at the same time. Eventually, what I did realize is we just had to, gratitude is a really big thing for us. And so we just had to find the gratitude in it. So we just tried to find the silver lining, which is that, yeah, he lost this career that he wanted. We lost his financial stability, but we also gained a ton of time together as a family. He was gone a lot with the unit that he was in. He'd be home for 3 months, gone for 3 months. He missed most of our daughter's, her infant and toddlerhood. Like, he missed most of it. And that was really hard. So we decided to be grateful that we were gaining this time back together. We were getting a chance to go do things that we didn't get to do because the Army tells you where to go and they tell you where to live, and you don't always have decisions. You don't always have a choice in the matter. Plus, we realized that even though Stephen, my husband, was losing his career, he had this chance to like do something totally different that nobody would have ever expected him going into. It gave us a chance to get healthier and to expose our kids to different things. And now we see it as, one of the best things that could have happened.
Yeah. I mean, nothing is as glamorous as it seems. The internet makes things seem so nice and beautiful. Oh, man. And I really like that you bring that authenticity into pretty much everything that you do, because it's so relatable. You're like,
thanks.
Yes. Nothing is perfect, but we can make choices to keep bettering ourselves in our life, even when things are messy and ugly.
Exactly. It's very important to me to share that relatability. So thank you for saying that. It's very important because I am a perfectionist, a recovering perfectionist by nature. And it was really hard when we got into RV life, which I'm sure it was for a lot of people, that, you only see the good online, right? People aren't sharing the awfulness because who wants to see that? So you see these amazing adventures and you see the family getting closer and you see all of these things happening, and you don't see all of the other parts, which are definitely there. And I think it's important for people to know that, yes, there are some amazing parts, but there's also some really hard parts, just like with any lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure everybody has that knowledge going into it.
Yeah.
So they're not.
So I want to dive into content creation and the business that you've built there. But before we do, will you just kind of give us an overview of the different ways that you and your husband make money as you travel, different revenue streams that are coming in to support this lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually love to share about this because ours is kind of unique. We're not the only veteran family on the road, but it is a little more of a unique situation. So our main income stream right now is my husband's VA disability. So when he retired, they determined that he had 100% disability status, and he gets the full amount allowed for our family size. So that is our main income that we have coming in. He also has been very smart in taken advantage of programs that I don't think every veteran is aware of, but there's a lot of education programs and employment programs out there that he worked really hard to get all the information on. And so for the last 4 years that he has been in school, he's also gotten a stipend every month to help pay for living expenses.
Awesome.
It's not a lot. It's still half of what we were making before, but it is a steady income that was coming in. The educational stipend has now stopped, but the disability income will come in as long as he is living. So that is our main income. The other income comes from me. So I have had an Etsy shop for, 10, 11 years now. It's not uber successful. It has its ups and downs. It's changed a couple of times, but it does bring in a little bit of extra income, especially around the holidays. And then my other income is content creation. So I do both UGC and influencer promotion for different brands. And that has started to bring in a pretty steady stream of income at this point.
What's the Etsy shop? And why does it bring in money around the holidays? Real quick.
So my Etsy shop now is a printable business. So it's all online downloads, like birthday cards, games, holiday scavenger hunts, those sorts of things. I've had some success with a couple of printable items that I have come up with that during Christmas time, and this last year, Halloween actually was my biggest month. And out of nowhere, they happen to do really well. Sometimes you really hit that algorithm, and they did pretty well. So it's all printable items now and digital downloads. In the past, it has been, I've done some print on demand. And before, actually, for the last 9 years or so, it was a crochet business. So it just recently changed. I just gave that up at the beginning of last year because it just became a little too hard on the road.
Oh, yeah. It's so time consuming. Yeah. I always wonder how people make money when they have those businesses. I don't personally crochet. I have a 10-year-old daughter that loves to crochet and knit. And I'm like, girl, that's a lot. Yeah. You got to have a lot of space for the materials, a lot of time.
Yes.
Things like that. Yes. Well, props to you for turning your Etsy shop into something that's like more passive. In my opinion, nothing is like truly passive, like the internet tells you, but some things are more hands-off than others.
Yes, I will not be someone who will go and tell you that you can just go put out a printable and make $10,000 in 1 month. I'm sure some people have done that, but I would not say that is the norm, or at least I have not had that success yet.
Yeah. Yet. That's a great word.
Yeah, it is coming.
Right. Okay. Let's get into your passion for social media.
Okay.
You have figured out how to make an income from a personal brand with less than 10,000 followers. Let's start with what platforms you focused on, and also how long ago did you get started in all of this?
Well, I started sharing very little when we were first on the road, but it was mainly just a personal scrapbook at that point. When we got on the road the second time, so that was 2022, I started posting more in hopes of building it into a business. Of course, seeing all of these amazing influencers out there with these huge followings, I thought this is going to happen immediately.
Yeah.
It did not. I have worked very hard for the followers that I have, and I'm very thankful for them. Taking it really seriously as a business and actually working with brands did not start until the beginning of last year. So what is that, 2024, beginning of last year. It started with companies offering me trade. At the time, I only had 3,000 followers, maybe 2,000 to 3,000. Some gifted collaborations started. I started to build up my portfolio, and I thought, well, hey, we're going to go visit some amazing areas, and I'd love to stay at some of these resorts that we do not have the budget for right now. So I'm going to reach out to them and offer them my services. And it went very well.
So you started taking it seriously a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got my first payment, like actual money payment, in April of last year.
That was fast.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, how long did it take you to like actually make money outside of just gifted collabs?
That one, to be no, I'm going to take credit. Always take credit for the work that you do. It's very important. I'm working on it. But that was actually a hosted stay that I did. So for those that don't know, hosted stay, they trade me the stay and then, I give them content for it. There was no money exchanged, but the reel that I produced for them did very well and they were very happy with it. And they actually decided to buy the rights to it.
Awesome.
So that was an unexpected bonus to that deal and kind of lit a fire under me. So yeah, it kind of grew from there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Did you have a background in design or writing or marketing or like video editing? Or how did you learn how to monetize your content?
Definitely no background whatsoever. And I do not sell myself as like, technically I am a professional because I get paid, but I'm not talking like I'm going to go out and photograph your wedding for you, or I'm not going to sell pictures to a magazine, like National Geographic. It's not going to happen. Not at this point in my career. Yet. Always grow. Honestly, no, it's all self-taught. The great part about social media right now is that what a lot of some brands want it very polished and they want the very professional cinematography, and that definitely has its place. A lot of other brands, they literally just want it to look like you went out with your smartphone and you did a video, which is what I do. So I don't sell my services as being that overly polished. I sell it as being relatable and authentic, and that's what sells things to people because I do actually I know a lot of people probably say this, I only use and promote products that I really believe in and would use regularly. I turn down products all of the time because we have a certain lifestyle that we live that we don't use a lot of things or consume a lot of things. So yeah, no, I kind of just learned along the way. Honestly, I have taken courses that have definitely helped to improve some things and taught me a little bit more. I knew Canva from learning for my Etsy shop, so I had familiarity with that. But like I've learned to use Lightroom now. I didn't know that. I learned that from a course that I took. I've learned from friends. I just learned as I've gone. I definitely do not have a history.
You can do it. Anyone can do it. That's the story. If you're anything like me and love soaking up that Midwest lake life in the summer, I've got a spot you have to check out. Coconut Cove RV Resort in Hazel Green, Wisconsin is an Our Journey campground that's packed with fun for the whole crew. They've got a 13-acre lake with an aqua park, sandy beaches, boat rentals, and tons of family-friendly activities. Whether you're in an RV, a glamping pod, or a lakefront cabin, this tropical-themed resort has what you're looking for. Click the link in the show notes to book now and start your journey with Our Journey. How long did it take for you to feel like you really found your audience and honed in on what you want to say to them? And the reason I asked you this is because your travel content isn't, or I should say your content isn't just about travel lifestyle stuff. Like, to be honest, a lot of RV content is. Mm-hmm. You have a very strong message, in my opinion, and I love it. How long did it take you to really figure that out for yourself?
I'm still figuring it out. I have an idea of what it is. Reaching that audience is very difficult. But honestly, when I first started my account, I wasn't starting it as a travel account. Mm-hmm. In my mind, it was always going to be a lead into something different. Because at the time I didn't know how long we would RV. And so I didn't necessarily want to build an RV account, because if we only RV'd for 4 months again, and then I built this following and then we got off the road, that would all be lost. So my initial goal was always to go towards a certain person, a certain audience. And the travel to me is it's just our lifestyle. So to me, I'm just doing lifestyle but we happen to be in an RV.
Yeah.
I tell people that which I only recently really came clear on, after meeting a lot of really awesome RV content creators through Tampa and whatnot, through the RV show. I met so many amazing creators, and they are so great at what they do, and I appreciate what they do. But I realized it's not what I want to do. Yeah. So I realized I'm not an RV content creator. I'm a content creator that just happens to live in an RV.
Yes.
So I would do the same thing if I lived in a house or in a whatever. So that to me was really a turning point. And since then, I've really tried to reach my true audience and just using travel as part of our lifestyle, part of our wellness routine, part of my healing journey. That's been really important to me. I really want to reach the women, especially who are afraid to go outside of their comfort zone, because RVing is so far outside my comfort zone. Anybody who knew me before would be like, I'm sorry, Stephanee lives where? And she does what?
Yes. Same.
Very far. Yeah. Very far. We had not camped as a family. We had not done anything. I still don't care for dirt or bugs or things. I'm getting better. But
or like sleeping in a tent.
Nope.
Yeah,
no, I was sleeping in an RV. Yes.
I don't like to wake up soggy.
No.
I feel like that's all you do when you tent camp. Those people are just to another level.
Yeah, it's not my thing, and that's okay. I appreciate the people, but I realized who I am.
Yes.
Like, I had an idea of who even in the RV community, I had an idea of what type of RVer I would be. I am not who I thought I would be, and that is okay.
Yeah.
But,
I love it.
I wanted other people to see, like, that's okay.
It's funny that you mentioned the experience at the Tampa RV show and just being around other content creators at Tampa. Because I have had the same epiphany about a year ago. I was like, okay, I just recorded a bunch of RV tours and I don't care to show this. I know that those pieces of content get so many views because it's super fun to like look around at other RVs and what they can do with these tiny spaces, and I'm like, I just finally admitted to myself, I'm not that person. I just don't care that much about it. But some people do, and they're really good at it, and they come up with like creative ways to show it, and I'm like, thank you. See, you're the type that should be doing that. So.
That was totally what I realized. Is just, there is nothing wrong with being an RV content creator. I am so impressed with so many of the things I see. And I just realized that the how-tos and the installs and all of those things, it just didn't bring me joy.
There's so much gear.
Yeah, it just didn't bring me joy. Even though it can be a very great market to be in as a content creator. So it is hard to break out of that market. But I just decided I wanted to do more that brought me joy.
So. Good for you. I'm going to ask you about tips that you have for other travel women who are maybe just getting into the lifestyles, starting to think about, how can I make money on social media? I have 700 followers, and it seems like everyone else is able to monetize this. What advice would you give them?
Ooh, that is a good one. One, I would say it's actually pretty common in the RV life, especially. I feel like almost everybody tries to be a content creator at some point. I don't know if it's like that in other places, but
I always wonder that too.
It's an industry that I feel like must be unique because RV brands will reach out and they will work with you when you have much lower follower count than I assume many other industries would, because trust me, I try to be in the wellness industry and they have much higher follower count requirements. So I think because of that, a lot of people try to do it. And I don't think they realize how hard it really is. It is tough. So one, I would make sure that it's something you're actually really passionate about. The whole process of it, because it's not as easy as the people on Facebook love to tell me, that I just make little videos and ruin people's lives. It's not like that. So I'd say, one thing is you got to make sure it's something you actually like. And another tip is, if you are going to make it a business, is to treat it like a business from the get-go. It is very appealing to have brands reach out to you and offer to send you the world. That is great. But what people need to understand is that you are giving them free marketing is what you're doing. So if they're not paying you, they're getting free marketing from you. And you deserve to be compensated for doing the marketing. So I think it's important to treat it like a business. I think it's important to ask for money sooner than you probably think you would, even if they say no. I think it's important I think a tip would be to really narrow down what types of brands you want to work with and what type of content creator you want to be, because that shapes everything. If I had made different decisions in the beginning, I'd probably be in a much different place right now and not trying to move from one industry into another industry. I think that's a tougher shift to make. You can very easily just become an RV creator. And then if you want to get out of that industry, it can be more difficult to do, in my opinion. So, those are some tips. Honestly, there's some really great courses out there that you can take.
Recommendations?
So I have done Max Explorer, Christina McElvoy. She has a great course, and I'm part of her Insta Success Facebook group. That's been invaluable. Just having access to the masterminds that are in that group and the information that she shares. I definitely do not have a photographer's eye and don't know anything about manual functions of any kind, as she gives some great tips in her course, which are really nice. So that's been a really great one. Sammy from Big Hearts, Tiny Spaces. I always get her name wrong. Big Hearts, Tiny Spaces, right? She has done some different subscriptions in the past. I know they're coming out with a course soon, but she's done some subscriptions in the past that I've been a part of and got really great tips from her. She is a very hard worker and has really made a name for herself in the business. So I think her experience is invaluable. Actually, I then recommend coaching, to be honest. I'm working with Leah from Llama Adventure.
Yeah.
She is a friend, but she also is a coach. And she is the one who encouraged me in the beginning to start asking for money. I always tell people I would not be making money if it wouldn't be for her and RV Queens. She was actually in my very first RV Queens group.
That's awesome.
And we became close through there. And she was so, she pushed me in the best ways and really helped with the mindset. So I think just honestly, networking like that is a really great. I've made some amazing relationships through RV Queens. Actually connecting with a lot of different content creators. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. So you bring up a good point about the money related to, especially when you are starting out and you have less than 1,000, less than 2,000, less than 5,000, and there's a lot of insecurity that crops up. A brand reaches out to you and says, we want to gift you this thing and we want the moon. They're going to ask for the reel and the rights and perpetuity and all of these things. And it feels really special because you're like, oh my gosh, they're giving me something for free. And I don't even know what I'm doing. Of course, yes, whatever you say. The reality that I want to encourage people to think about is the time investment that you're putting into this. And even if you're new at content creation, you're probably really good at something else. Let's say you were a physical therapist and you were making, I don't know how much physical therapists make. Maybe $100 an hour. I don't 85, 70, I don't know, whatever. And you're like, okay, I could charge $100 an hour as a physical therapist because that's my profession and that's what I'm good at, yada, yada. And when people are new in content creation, you don't feel like you can ask for an amount that will basically compensate you hourly. If you're going to make a 3-hour reel and they're going to gift you a lipstick that online, the lipstick says it's $125. I don't even know if that exists, but
it's a really great lipstick.
Let's just say that. You have to remember that the cost to the company to produce that lipstick is what, a fourth? Yeah. Out of their pocket, they're only paying you, what, $30?
Yes.
and they're like, yes, we're getting free content from this person. Wahahaha. Okay, so just putting this concept out there, that's what we mean by like understand your worth to the brand that is reaching out to you and think about their cost versus your costs. And, you know, I'm not saying you should try to charge $100 an hour as a content creator right off the bat if you have 800 followers. That's not what I'm saying, for the record. But what is like a reasonable compensation here, you know, for where you're at? Just like think about these things.
Absolutely. And I think mentioning that the per hour cost is the part, yes, people do not realize, because yes, what everyone else sees on the internet is I just went and took a little video and put it up, but that's not the case. You have to come up with a concept. You have to not only, once you get the concept and you film it, even if that is easy or whatnot, you then have to make sure you come up with a hook, and you have to have the right text, or you have to do a voiceover. You have to do the caption. You have to have the correct hashtags. You have to make sure you're including all of the proper disclosures. Make sure you're posting at a good time. There's so much more involved with it. And then you need to follow up on the comments that come. The questions, all of that is follow-up as well. People don't consider that amount of time. They're like, oh, I'm just getting this item and I'm just going to put up this one video. It's fine. Plus, usually, because we've all done it, you sign away all of your rights to that video and you just see it as some small video that you would have put on your small account and nobody would really even see it. But if that brand then has that video and it goes viral and they make tens of thousands of dollars off of it, you're not getting anything from that. Mm-hmm. Or if they have the rights to that video and they take it and they use that video for the rest of your life, you have to remember that. And these are things that you have to take into consideration when you're doing that. Like when I put my face on something, like that could be there forever. Yeah. Like forever, right? And it could be some horrible, I mean, think of some really awful commercials you've seen in your life and think about the people who were in those commercials and they have to see their face for the rest of their life. Point. So that's what I consider.
The internet is forever.
It is forever.
Last question about social media, because I want to get into some deeper topics with you. Okay, so did you have experience reaching out to brands and doing negotiating and all of that kind of thing from the start? Because you were able to monetize pretty quickly. Like, what advice do you have other people that are new to all of this and they're like, oh my gosh, what? Reaching out to a brand? How would I even, what would I say? How does that work?
It's scary. I'm not going to lie. It's really scary. Especially if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence, regardless of what it looks like. It takes me a lot every single time still to send, to press send on that email. And honestly, really the only thing I can say is just to do it. You just push through the fear. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the biggest tip is just telling yourself and knowing, like, you're going to get rejected. You're going to get rejected so many times. Even the biggest influencers still get rejections. And it is a numbers game. So if you want to get yeses, you have to get a lot of no's as well. And being okay with that, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, especially on the ones that you really want. It's also good to think of yourself in the mindset, which actually, I was listening to your interview with Thor. And
Denise,
the
director of marketing
great.
Of Thor.
Yes.
Wow. She has a lot to say.
She had great info. And so my favorite thing that she shared was when she said, no doesn't necessarily mean no forever. It can mean no for right now.
Right.
So it's important to remember that when you're reaching out, that if they say no, it doesn't mean no forever. It could mean no until maybe you have a little more experience, or no until they have a need for you. What I think a lot of people don't realize, because social media it's very personal. I mean, it's me up there. It's personal, but it's a brand. Mm-hmm. I am a brand. And that's a tough thing to get used to, but it's understanding that they're not saying no to me. They're saying no to my brand, my company for now. And it's just like any company with marketing. Like, maybe they are going towards an older crowd right now. Maybe they're going towards couples with no kids, or single women, or they're aiming towards men only. Like, and later, maybe they have a family campaign that they need a family for, and I would be perfect for that. So it's important to realize that those no's are going to happen. And honestly, it just takes time and practice to get better. Like when I took Christina's course, it was really helpful because she had pitch templates in there that you could look at and then you could refine to yourself. Yeah, honestly, it's just go for it.
Yeah. Do you do your initial reach outs through email usually, or is it Instagram DMs, or how does that work?
Instagram is my preference always. That's for a couple reasons. The main reason is actually because I'm selling my Instagram. So to me, I'm going to have a better shot selling my Instagram if the brand is also active on Instagram. Because if they don't have an Instagram presence, they may not care at all. And there are some brands that don't see the value in social media and they don't care for it. But I know if they have an Instagram account and an active Instagram account, that I have a better shot at getting a response. So if they have Instagram, I will always reach out there first and just reach out with a quick, introduction and ask for a contact for email. Because then I always move the conversation to email after that.
Or a phone call, if you can get it.
That's new for me. I am working on that. Phone calls are really hard. Zoom calls are even harder for me.
Oh, millennials.
But yes, but my understanding, I've learned from so many of my friends now, is that is a way better chance of getting a yes if you can get them on a phone call or on a Zoom call. So I am working on that now. I've done a couple, but it is still, it's a millennial thing. If they would like to text.
I hate making phone calls too. But whenever someone hears your voice and gets a feel that you're a normal, good person and not just a weirdo on the internet, that I think the trust factor just through the roof.
You are absolutely correct.
Yes,
you are. Another good tip for people to know, though, for reaching out on Instagram, don't ever just reach out if you've never interacted with the brand. You need to interact with the brand. So when I am interested, I will first interact. They call it flirting, right? I will flirt with the brand. I know it sounds funny. I will flirt with them. I will like their posts. I will engage with actual comments. I will ask questions and I will show my interest. And then I will message them. And it's also important to know lots of those messages go into a filter and they don't get them. So if I don't hear from them on Instagram, and you can tell if it's been read or not, if you're being ignored or not, then in that case, I go back and I comment more. And on one of those comments, I will say, hey, please check your DMs. And that almost always works. And then they'll go find you and find your DM. And then I move the conversation to email or a phone call. Do the phone call. Do that.
You're not good at phone calls yet.
Not yet. I have also reached out on Facebook. I have done that only successfully, maybe once or twice. So it's much harder to get a response in my experience. But I have reached out on Facebook. Some brands are only on Facebook.
Some people are only on Facebook.
It's true.
All right, let's shift a little to the juicy content that you put out there and the themes of encouraging, inspiring other women.
Okay.
You have written that your goal is to, and I quote, encourage others to ditch perfection and embrace good enough in order to find more joy. And your handle on social media is a perfectly good enough life. Why is this idea of seeking good enough over perfection so important to you?
It is pretty much my life mantra at this point. I will quickly tell the story of how it came to be because I feel like people don't understand my name often, and I understand that. I am a recovering perfectionist. It has ruled my entire life for so very long, like many of us, but it was debilitating at one point. And my husband is the complete opposite. He is very much a just do and don't think about it, total opposite of me. And what he started saying to me when I would be obsessing over anything is he would say it's good enough for government work.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad, that.
My dad.
I don't know if I should say that.
My dad used to work for the federal government, and I grew up with him saying that too.
Yes. Okay. No one ever knows that saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's hilarious to me.
So in the military, it's a whole thing. So he would say that to me and I would just roll my eyes at him. And then eventually it set in and he would just start saying, when I would be obsessing over whatever it was, he would say, is it good enough? And eventually I started okay, is it good? Yeah, it's good enough. Okay. And so now, I mean, it's a daily thing for me. I do things constantly where I'm like, I say it to myself in my head, is it good enough? Is it good enough? So I realized that I had been seeking this total idea of what I needed my life to look like. And when that happens, you live your life in a lot of disappointment because nothing's perfect and things often don't turn out how you think they're going to. And I didn't want to dwell in what wasn't happening. I wanted to find the good in what was happening and to be open to new things. So the good enough kind of came from there. It's now that daily mantra every time I do anything. And once I started to share about it and once I met other women, yes, a lot of millennials especially come from that the same feelings. And I just wanted them to know as well, like, it's good enough and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to spread the message that, because some people do get confused by it, good enough doesn't mean you're settling. It doesn't mean like, oh, it's good enough. No, it means like you could still be proud of it. It's a positive thing. Mm-hmm. It's not like a settling thing. So I wanted other women to stop getting stuck in that perfectionist mindset, because I know the damage that it can do and how much it can hold you back from things.
Yeah.
So I wanted other women to feel encouraged to try new things and to step outside their comfort zone and see how it feels.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Now that I understand the perfect versus good enough.
Yes.
Perfectly good enough. Well, I get it. I see what you did there.
Now it's very long, to be honest, and that mainly the perfectly good enough mainly came in because, Instagram didn't have what I wanted available. And at the time it sounded really great. Now it's a little long, to be honest, but it's there now.
You mean they didn't have Stephanee Dellacruz 110598?
No.
Your original handle?
No. They probably did have that one available. I should have gone with that one.
This has been so helpful and I think inspiring for a lot of women, Stephanee. So thank you for being here today. Before I ask my last question, we kind of already covered this, but go ahead and tell people how they can find you online.
Okay. Well, Instagram is my main spot to find me at. That's a perfectly good enough life. I know it's a long one. I'm also on Facebook and TikTok under the same name, but Instagram is the main spot that you will find me.
Love it. And we will link all of those in the show notes to make it easy for you to just tap and connect. Okay, this season of the podcast, I'm ending with one-on-one rounds where I ask a question and we both answer it. So I have 2 questions for you today. All right, first question is, what is a book or a podcast or something you recently discovered that you're like really into?
I really wish I had prepared better for this because I'm horrible at remembering names. Honestly, the books, I just got back into fiction. I used to be a big reader and got out of it, so I just got back into it. So I just finished the very popular one, and now it's going to sit A Crown of Thorn and Roses.
Harry Potter?
No, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I'm sorry. I know, boo. Is that A Crown of Thorn and Roses?
I mean,
Is that what it's called?
I've seen that title on a book once.
I just finished that series. That okay. I
What's it
binged
about?
Through that.
Vampires?
No, but it is like just fantasy. It's like fantasy, like fairies and whatnot, like a whole magical world, which is not my usual genre.
It?
I do. It was really good. There's like 5 or 6 books, but
I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's a good one.
I need a new series.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It might be a stretch for me. I'm not the fantasy. Sci-fi
it is
stuff.
Romance too, so I do like a little bit of romance on the side, a little bit of spice on the side. And as far as podcasts, honestly, most of my podcasts are healing podcasts. They are. I spend my mornings walking and listening to, inner child work and really light stuff like that.
Like to start your day
light
with some levity.
I like a good cry in the morning,
Get it out of your system. Then you're done for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so my answer to this question is, you mentioned Christina McAvoy, whose course that you bought. She recommended a book to me, Human Design by Jenna Zoe.
Yes.
And I just bought that book. and I'm going through, like, human design is this whole personality thing with like a chart. Are you into this?
Yeah, I just got into it.
You did?
Very fun. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so new that it feels a little overwhelming, but the type that they told me I am, I'm like, yes. I believe it's generator.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Is that the one that's like, you just follow what feels good?
Generator, I don't want to give my info here because it will be wrong. So I won't even say because I don't know enough about it. I only know my own type.
What's yours?
Projector.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
It's been a journey. It's
Okay.
been a real ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to have a whole other conversation
Yes.
about this because it's a whole thing. But it's cool. If you haven't heard of human design, it's worth a glance, at least, because it's kind of cool. All right. I'm ending with a softball question for you.
Thank
you. Yeah. Don't worry. You eat gluten-free.
Yes.
Awesome. We are gluten-free by preference, not by allergy or anything like that. So, what is your favorite gluten-free treat?
Sweet Lauren's cookies.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, those are good.
They're so good. We don't even bake them. We just eat them.
Eat the cookie dough.
Eat them raw because they're safe to do that. They say on it.
Yeah.
And they're so good. And because with an RV oven, you don't want to risk messing it up. So, yeah, we eat them raw a lot. I'd say that's probably
a good tip.
That's probably a favorite.
Mine is so lame. It's a toasted marshmallow because I just love it. They're just, you can't beat that. And we live RV life, so.
Like just a regular marshmallow that you toast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Technically gluten-free.
Yes.
So, yes. Just like Lucky Charms.
You can also put on a gluten-free graham cracker.
Yes, that's true.
They're not as good.
They're kind of soggy. I've tried it.
It's not as good.
I agree. All right. That is a wrap. Stephanee, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
This was so fun.
It was.
I loved being in person with you, getting the energy going. And yes, thank you again. And everyone out there on the internet, we will see you on the road. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being part of the RV Queens community. Remember to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And guess what? You can have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women who are living intentionally and making money on the road. Head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community to join RV Queen Circles today. It's a totally unique online space with a shared prosperity model that's all about community over competition. I'd love to have you be a part. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. The internet is forever.
It is forever.